That big ass monitor behind me, that is the Samsung Odyssey Neo G9. In case you didn't hear me, it's a big ass monitor. How big you ask? 49 inches, and it's curved. Okay, so in this video, I want to talk to you about my experience moving from a dual monitor setup to an ultra-wide setup. So I'll briefly tell you about my old setup. I had a 25-inch IPS monitor with 144Hz refresh rate and a decent Full HD 32-inch TV. The monitor is for my games and the TV is for watching videos or playing my Nintendo Switch. So my first experience changing to an ultra-wide is, goddamn, is this way too big? And the answer to that is yes, for the first 2 days. And after that, I pretty much got used to it, which kind of surprised me because I expected to take a lot of time to adjust. I dislike change, but this change was not too bad. So my first experience was really nice because I never thought that having so much more screen real estate was going to feel so good. So I took a few days to try to rearrange information on my screen, like my window placements. It's interesting because it's something that I never really thought about when I had a regular old monitor. But that was also the problem because usually when I'm working or playing games, I would have a YouTube video open on my TV and I'll do some passive listening when I'm writing a script or playing games like Final Fantasy 14 or just chill games in general because not too much attention is needed. So I played around with the picture-in-picture mode on the Odyssey Neo. While it does offer a number of different configurations like small window at the bottom of your screen or splitting the screen 50-50, I decided to stick to the 25-75, which made me feel like I got back my second screen, and thus my quote-unquote dual monitor setup was back, which made the transition much easier. It also allows you to change the sources. So in my case, I have two display connectors coming out of my computer and one more from my Nintendo Switch. One thing I really like about the on-screen display and picture-in-picture mode is that I don't have to traverse the menu to switch sources. It's right there on the left and the right as the first things you see when you bring up the screen menu. And ladies and gentlemen, that is good user experience design. You can change the shortcut on the right menu to whatever other control that you prefer. Where it's bad is that sometimes when I'm going from full video to picture-in-picture mode, the monitor goes to a source that doesn't have an input if, let's say, my Nintendo Switch is not plugged in. Why it does this? I have no clue. Is it annoying? Yes, but coming back to the point of how easy it is to swap inputs, I can live with it, and also the fact that I don't go from picture-in-picture to full view very often. Alright, so as I mentioned before, it is a 49-inch panel and has a resolution of 5120 by 1440. As a rough gauge, that's about 80% of the 4K resolution, and it has a refresh rate of 240Hz. It is a VA panel and has a response time of 1G to G. So overall, it's pretty decent. But I came from an IPS panel and the difference in color vibrancy is pretty obvious here. I'm not saying that this is a bad panel because I think it looks very decent, but if you make the switch from an IPS, just be prepared for a little adjustment. But on the other hand, this is a quantum dot panel and that makes the panel stand out because the colors are still very punchy and vibrant, which as a person who likes saturated color is very nice. And this is especially obvious when playing games. As for ports, it has one display port, two HDMI ports, two USB ports, an audio line out and a USB Type-B port. Now this monitor has a range of features as well, like black equalizer which slightly brightens up the darker areas, which apparently gives you an advantage against people hiding in the darkness so you don't get ambushed because you can't see them. Noobs. Eye saver mode, which basically adds a warm tint on the screen to protect your eyes. Local dimming, which controls the brightness of the blacks on the screen to give you a better contrast, and dynamic brightness, which basically tunes the monitor's brightness depending on your surroundings. Oh, you think it's over? It's not, because it also has HDR10, it has NVIDIA G-Sync, low latency input. Honestly, it's a bit overwhelming with the amount of features this monitor has for someone who came from a monitor that had simple controls like brightness and contrast. I'm a simple person, okay? But it is nice that now I have the chance to play around with all these extra features. And personally, the top 2 features for me is the local dimming and the dynamic brightness. Alright, now for the most important part, you watching me play some video games on a big ass monitor. So obviously gaming on an ultra-wide monitor is a very different experience from a flat screen monitor. For one, the screen goes all the way to your peripheral vision, and that's a huge thumbs up for immersion. I play a lot of MMORPGs, and one in particular is Final Fantasy XIV. With an ultra-wide monitor, I can actually see the entire arena, which minimizes my camera rotation, which is really cool, I must say. But playing Forza 5 is it's sweet. I mean, just look at it. God damn, this thing looks so good. In fact, this was the first game that I played in this monitor, and it was so totally worth it. Also, with that resolution, picture quality is super crisp. And it is honestly the first time for me. And buddy, let me tell you, it feels really good. Even when it comes to productivity like editing a video, it's really nice that I can see the whole entire timeline at the bottom, which really helps in the speed of editing a video because it minimizes scrolling around and zooming in and out to see the entire timeline. Okay, now for the things that I dislike. For one, all the features I told you about will be gone once you turn on picture-in-picture mode, which was quite frustrating because I spend most of my time using picture-in-picture mode. Second is that the screen goes down to 120 Hz but will stay at 240 Hz when it's not in picture-in-picture mode. I honestly find that a bit annoying because the options are there, but you have to give so much of sacrifice back that it comes to the point if it's even worth it. I also noticed some warping at the bottom and top of the screen, but I guess that just comes with curved monitors. And I know some of you might think that I'm fussy, but once I saw it, it was pretty hard not to see it. And speaking of things you can't unsee, black bars. Games that don't support the ultra-wide ratio are gonna have black bars on the left and right of the screen. It's definitely not Samsung's fault here, but if you do play games that lack the ultra-wide support, then it's something that you are gonna have to get used to. But the issue that I had until now is that I kinda get nauseous when playing on this monitor. It has gotten better over the days, but I can feel like I need to take breaks in between, and it's a bit hard to focus. I know this is just a me problem, but this is my experience coming from a flat screen to an ultra-wide curved screen. Oh, and speaking about gaming, you are going to need a very powerful PC to fully utilize this monitor. I have a Ryzen 5 5600X and RTX 3070, and a lot of the games struggle to be played at this resolution. Forza 5 barely scrapes 60 FPS, and Overwatch, while is able to go up to 140 frames per second, my graphic card is crying because the temperature is 83 degrees. Please pray for my graphic card. And that's just 2 games. Many other games really do struggle with my current hardware, so it's something that you have to take note if you are going to buy this monitor. Personally, I think productivity is where this monitor excels the most, and while it is great for gaming, it still comes back to the same point. Do you have a powerful enough PC to drive this monitor? So in summary, I think that there is a market for monitors like this, and I know it is quite expensive to get into this monitor because the Odyssey Neo G9 comes in at 7,999 ringgits. But if you have experience with ultra-wide monitors and want to upgrade to something that sits on the higher end of the spectrum, then I'll say you definitely want to go for it. So guys, there you have it. That was my experience coming from a dual screen monitor to an ultra-wide monitor. Let me know in the comments below if you have any problems with ultra-wide monitors or what are the things that you like about them. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified with our latest videos. And with that guys, I will see you in the next one.